Welcome to Soul Infused Monday today. Welcome, welcome, welcome. December 2020. It's crazy. And if you're following me for a while and you are joining the Soul Infused Monday show regularly, you know it always takes a moment, and I'm always taking a moment before I really officially start it so that people can join in. So if you are already watching this live and or you are on the replay right now, take a moment and leave a comment below. Let me know if you hear and see me. And also I'm gonna take the first few moments to invite you to simply take a nice deep breath. Have you paused today already to have a nice deep breath? If not, just do this now while we're waiting for people to jump in. And allow yourself to become present, remove any distractions. I'm excited that you're here. I am also curious to see what will unfold because I'm going to share something quite vulnerable today. And the message that I got when I was sitting in meditation before going on the show is like simply trust and follow guidance. Okay, so I walk my talk, so I'm gonna do that. Who is in the house? Leave me a comment. Hi Linda, good morning. Good morning Lynn from San Diego. How's the weather in San Diego? I'm curious. Some of you guys are in the middle of winter, and I personally like winter in the Caribbean because it's not so hot. So funny, right? Okay, anyway, so jump in if you're already live, invite a friend, someone that needs some inspiration today. The topic today, I called it the power of inner work. Mainly, I'm really going to share what's going on in my life. It has been a very challenging few weeks and months. One of the most challenging times that I had in many years. And the purpose of me sharing this, because when I tune in, I mean, it's something very personal. A part would say, well, it's none of nobody's business. And at the same time, I just got reminded again. And yesterday I posted, and if you've been following me, you know I love to dance. I've been posting dance videos a lot. And yesterday I posted one with a vulnerable share about how I used to feel when I used to hate myself, when I used to hate my body, and a little bit of my own journey, because it's so easy to look from the outside and think, oh my God, someone has it so much together, or they have it all and they didn't go through something. It took me a long time to get where I am. And the amount of emails and messages and comments that I got, it just reminded me again how powerful and important it is to share our story, especially for me, that I'm an influencer, that I am a teacher, that I can inspire people. And I'm not a teacher for the masses. The people that are coming to me, you that are listening to me, it's a particular type of person. You've been on your journey. You are committed to your own personal growth. It's not like the masses kind of thing. And even more important for me is to share, even though my personality, the parts that are challenged, do not want to share this at all. But I will, because one person might just need to hear this today. Okay? So, I also want to convey again why I call it the power of inner work. And I'm curious, you're watching here right now, and some of you I know. Hi Ellen, how long have you been on the journey? Are you someone that is, like on an inner growth journey? Is it something that you've done for a long time? So just to share that with me real quick. And in order to let you know why this time of my life has been the most challenging and over a decade or two even, I have to go back. You might know my story, so if you do know my story, I will keep it as short as possible, but it's relevant to what's happening right now in order to it make sense. So if you do know my story already, just listen, hold space, I appreciate it, and send me some love in between, okay? And last but not least, if you are here watching this for the first time and you don't even know who I am and what I'm talking about, my name is Sonia Bonella-Torre. I've been on my own healing journey for over 23 years. I've been doing deep inner work, energy work, being on a spiritual path for over 23 years, and I've been teaching for at least 18. And I'm really committed and passionate about helping women and men to reconnect to who they really are, to connect to the piece of love and joy and soul that they are, to live a fulfilled, authentic, and joyful life. So, I wasn't always feeling so good. And right now, today I have a really good day. I feel really great. And it hasn't always been this way. When I was young, I felt very bad about myself. I used to hate myself. I used to hate my body. I suffered from severe depression. I was always feeling very deplaced, not belonging, not good enough. I was my worst inner critic. I was criticizing myself mercilessly. I felt very bad about myself. And that went to the point that when I was 16 years old, and I was already on diets with 14 because I thought I was fat and ugly. So that's my background. That's my background where I come from. And when I was 16 years old, I felt so uncomfortable in my body. I felt so shameful and ashamed of my body, and I had really big breasts developing already at very early age. So with 16, and I was already a bit overwhelmed, not overwhelmed, I was overwhelmed, but I was a little bit overweight. Not like as I felt fat, but I was overweight. And I had developed, I had big breasts, and I felt so uncomfortable with that I convinced my mother at 16 years old to let me undergo a breast reduction surgery because I was just suffering so much from it. So that was not necessarily the worst idea in the world. However, what happened back then when I was 16 years old is that they did a very bad job. They're, looking back, it was like butcher work, right? So they're basically what they did, they removed everything and left me with scars, and literally from having too much breasts, I had none. So they literally just cut everything off. Why? No, I was 16 years old. Back in the days, I was just happy to get rid of them. And however, afterwards, after the surgery, and especially when I was getting older, I suffered tremendously from it. It was a really, really severe trauma at 16 years old. Physically, a lot of pain, emotionally, very stressful. And when I was getting older, it was even more severely stressful because I was getting, I was becoming a woman with 16. I mean, what do we know with 16? I was just 16, right? So, and I'm sharing this because it's relevant to what I'm facing today. What happened then a few years later, because I was in so much suffering and so much self-hatred about my body, that a few years later, I did a reconstruction surgery and they put implants into my body. And talking about this now, there's still shame and there's still trauma and kind of pain around it, but nothing compared to what it was in the past. And that second surgery, I had actually several surgeries. What they did back then, it was in the 90s, it's a very, very long time ago. A year or 2 years later, they had to replace them again, the implants, because it wasn't good. So I had another surgery. And so there has been a lot of trauma with this. And why I call it also the power of the inner work is through that trauma, through all that pain and suffering, that led me actually to the inner work. Because at some point in my life, I really decided, either I learn how to love myself or I die. And of course, there were many, many reasons that I did the surgery in the first place, because I already was 16 years old. I felt unlovable. I felt not good enough. I felt ashamed of myself. So I did a lot of healing work. And so the last surgery was 20 years ago. So why is this relevant right now, and why is this a challenging moment in my life? And maybe you wonder, okay, what purpose does it have for me to listen to that? I think often I think that everyone in some way or another has a story, a painful story or an inner battle, and we often think we are alone with it. Not that I think I'm alone with it, I work with people for so long, but it's more about really the pain of not feeling good enough and feeling alone, feeling unsupported, feeling unlovable and all of that. I think so many can relate to that. And I wonder, like you listening to me, does anything resonate with you? Can you relate to any of it? Even for you, it might be something completely different. You might not have had a surgery. You might, you can't relate with the specifics of my story. But did you have a time in your life where you felt similar? Or did this year maybe trigger something old from the past? Because that what happened to me. So I knew at some point, because that wasn't for the last years, like I would say even for the last 10 years, that wasn't even an issue that I was revisiting anymore. And I did a lot of healing. I embraced my body. I can genuinely say I love myself. I'm extremely proud of who I am today. And that doesn't mean that I go through obviously painful and challenging moments. But that hasn't been an issue for years. But this year I had some physical or health issues, and I was really not finding out what it was. And to make long story short, it was related to the implants that I'm still having, basically. And still to this point, I don't like to share this, or still to this point, there's always a level of shame because of the irony of why I have implants in the first place. Not that there's anything wrong with that at all. I have no judgment for anyone who wants to do cosmetic surgery or plastic surgery or whatever. But from coming from a place that it was too much to going to a place that there was nothing and then they had to put something on it. So it's still something very vulnerable to share. And at the same time, I know so many women and also men in other ways and stories go through really painful, shameful, traumatic experiences that can influence our life for years, right? So I had to revisit that this year because at some point I knew I have to have a surgery again. I have to look into this. I cannot just keep them there forever. And my body, thankfully, I listened. My body was knocking on the door. I was saying, hey, Sonia, you gotta look into this. And I didn't want to look into it. I was terrified. I was terrified to even think about going to have another surgery. And it brought up so much old pain and layers, because I've done so much healing work around it, layers of issues that I wasn't even aware, trauma, fear, woundings from back then. And even though consciously and mentally and as an adult that I am, as a maturity that I have, I knew, okay, I have to do this, and I just have to make that happen for me. But a part of me was just terrified. I did not want to do it. I just want to put my head in the sand. This part just wants to kind of run away. And this part was saying, she's like, I can't do it. I will die. This is going to be terrible. And I was literally constantly in anxiety and stress around it. And then, on top of it, because of the pandemic, it was a big challenge because I didn't know where to do it. I wasn't planning on doing it here in the Dominican Republic. That wasn't even, I didn't consider that in the beginning. So I felt also kind of trapped. I felt like I couldn't just fly where I wanted to fly. I couldn't just have the people around me, my closest friends that I feel safe with, that would support me. So I went through a lot of stress in the last few months. And I tell you what, like, if it wouldn't have been for the inner work, and if it wouldn't have been for the meditation, that I meditated more than ever in my life in the last few months, I think. And if it wouldn't have been for the dancing and for everything that I've become, I don't think I would have managed to actually really go to the place where I am today. And I'm sharing this, and I know this is a long share. And if you are listening and watching this, I appreciate it. I believe that, well, I just follow guidance. And even though I don't know exactly where you're listening from or who you are, or like some of you I do, but I do believe and I trust that sharing our story can help others to heal too. So that's the reason I'm doing this. And or maybe you know someone who has a similar story and needs to hear something like this today. Because you are not alone. And I also want to convey one thing, and I keep saying this so many times. I'm so transparent. I'm so transparent in my work. And I want you to know that no one out there, your biggest, the person that you admire the most successful people out there, the best-selling authors, the gurus, don't you ever think they're not going through stuff and they don't have their own shit to deal with. They might not talk about it. But never compare yourself with anyone and think, oh my God, this person is so enlightened, or oh, I'm never gonna get there, or what's wrong with me? No, nothing. Like, there are just not so many people in very successful, like very high up there, that actually share that much. So I think it's really important because it just triggers often that you might feel that you are alone with it, that you are not supported, that it's so hard, it's shameful, that no one understands you. And the reality is that way more people might feel the same. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Let me know, like, before I continue, I have to share what's coming, but I want to hear from you. So leave me a comment here below. What's resonating with you? What are you hearing me say that actually may be landing for you? Or what can you relate to? Yeah, and Linda on the journey, probably 50 years off and on, most of the past 20 plus. Yeah, Linda, I know you've been on the journey for a long time. Darlene is tardy to the party. Yes. Okay, so there's always a little bit of a delay, but just a comment below, like what resonates with you, like what's part of your story that is kind of like maybe connected. I'm also sharing this with you because I'm gonna have surgery in January, and I don't have the exact date yet, and I only recently felt that I was transitioning to the other side. I was seeing light in the tunnel, and I want to share with you some of the lessons that I got, or some of the things that I believe will be helpful for you to hear, because they are related to the power of inner work. So I want to share a little bit with you what I learned. And I'm also sharing this all with you because I've always been very transparent. This is a huge part of my life right now. I'm not just gonna go hide, get surgery, and not being able to do certain things, or I'm not gonna be able to move up my arms, and just random practical stuff. And I felt like I didn't want to hide that. I wanted to be just open with it, even though a part of me, of course, doesn't want to be open with it. But anyway, so. Whew, and I feel so good right now. If I would have done this a few weeks ago, I most likely would have died and would have been sobbing. And I know there are gonna be challenging times before I go to the surgery. I hate hospitals. I don't like. I barely go ever. I never go to the doctor or anything. I avoid that. The idea of again having a surgery and maybe the physical pain, the recovery. You know what? I'm not going to be able to dance. I'm not going to be able to exercise. I'm not going to be able to continue the kite surfing that I just learned. It's like I'm such an active person. So there's a lot of things that I will face, and I'm sure I'm going to have my challenges still. However, I feel like I'm ready for a new chapter in my life. And it's the end of the year. It's the end of the year. I feel like December, by the way, is one of the most stressful months for people in the world. Were you aware of that? December is one of the most stressful months of the year. And most people are not aware of it. It's an unconscious process, but collectively, it's the end of the year. There's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of thinking. The holidays bring a lot of stress, right? And this year, obviously, 220. So I'm saying this because if you feel like a little bit more intensified in emotions, or if you are experiencing more stress or intense times and you think like, oh my God, it's a lot, just remind yourself to take a breath, to unplug from the matrix, to unplug from the global stuff, because it's not only you. And another reminder to take the time. If I tell you, I keep pounding this for years every time. If you don't meditate by now, you start, and you better start yesterday. You want to start the day with something that uplifts you, that is loving to yourself. You want to care enough about your well-being. You want to care enough about your well-being to start the day with something that nurtures you, that connects you to your soul, and that helps you to center and calm. So, I sidetracked a little bit. Where was I going with that? Lost my thread. Anyway, so I'm gonna check your comments here. You have my deepest admiration for sharing your deepest emotions, and fear will be with you all the way. You're so sweet. Thank you, Linda. Appreciate that. Thank you for being so honest. I admire you deeply. Send me love from the hospital. Oh, yeah. Tina, I'm so with you. I think of you often, and I know that, I'm not the only one going through a lot of stuff. So many. And I think that's also part of what I wanted to share. It's like we all go through stuff, and I want you to know you're gonna come out on the other side as well. And if you're not in a difficult time right now, that's beautiful. And then you can hold space and support someone that is in your life. I want to share some of the things that I received that were valuable for me, that might be valuable for you. So I'm used to be there for people and to give and to support constantly. It's so in my nature. And I'm good in asking for help. However, the last few months forced me, in a good way, to receive on a deeper level, to ask for help and support on a different level, and to be the one that receives without giving. And I removed myself a lot from work. I only have a few very selective, very precious, special people, private clients that I work with, that I love working with. I'm very selective right now, and that I'm 100% with them. Besides of that, I'm not available. I'm not available for any additional work. I canceled my workshops and retreat. Anyway, pandemic. And I've just been focusing on myself and my health so much that it was a lesson for me, a deeper lesson, a beautiful lesson to receive. Because I thought I was good in receiving. However, there's a level of receiving that I got to embrace and experience that I wasn't aware that it was a challenge. Does that make sense? Like, when you give all the time, it's easy to receive. Not even for people, it's not. But for me, I was like, when you're constantly in a giving mode, you receive. But if you're not giving as much anymore and you get a sense you're receiving more than you give, that was a challenge. And it was a beautiful lesson for me, a beautiful lesson. One of the pains that came up for me, or one of the challenges, was that I felt alone with this. I felt alone and unsupported because that was wounding from the past. A lot of what I'm sharing, these are all the old wounds from, layers of old wounds that I got to revisit and work on. And it was mainly triggered because my closest people are not here, and through the pandemic, it's not so easy to just travel, right? So I felt very alone and unsupported, but even more alone. I felt very alone with it, that part in me, and I got to work. And a beautiful lesson for me while I was working through that. And easier said than done to receive that again. It's like how loved and supported I am. It makes me even tear up, because I kind of knew that, but when you're in a when you're in such a vulnerable space and you can't be in person with the people that support you the most, but then to come to the point to really see, understand, and receive the level of love and support I have in my life, and the deep friendships, like, don't even find words. That was a beautiful lesson for me. It is, so like, it's a beautiful lesson. Another lesson was that in the toughest times, when I literally thought I could not go, like this part was so strong, I was dealing with so much emotions, I'm not used to that anymore. I've been on the journey for so long, I live a repolarized life. So I deal with emotions, but it's not like for weeks or months that I'm in such a stressful state. So I didn't even remember how exhausting and stressful that is. And how grateful I am for the tools that I have, and that you still can have joy. That you can have joy in the darkest of moments. For me, that is dancing. You know, dancing, whatever mood I'm in, dancing pure for the joy, and those moments were pure joy for me. Doesn't mean that I wasn't sad, doesn't mean that I wasn't afraid of something, but no matter where you are, if you are in physical pain, emotional pain, mental pain, whatever pain you are, there are moments that you can create joy in your life. No matter what, you just, you want to find it, and you want to be committed enough to do a regular practice. And I know it's not easy when we are in pain, to choose to do that, what brings you joy, even for a moment. Not that this is a new lesson for me at all, but I want to convey it again. I've been talking about this for years, and I want to repeat and remind you again. The only way is up. If you've been following me for a while, you know exactly what I mean. If this makes no sense to you, I will recap it a little bit. And I know this is a very long show today. I don't care about the time length today. I'm going to be here with you as long as someone is listening to me and needs to hear this. You can come in, you can come out, you can do whatever you want, but the only way is up. So in the most challenging times, the only way is up. And the only way is up means for me to go in energetically, to connect up to your higher self, to the source, to the divine, to God, to the soul, whatever it means to you. Because when we are in emotional distress, when we are in a dark place or in a challenging place, doesn't even have to be a dark place, can be just a painful place. It's in our lower bodies, in our lower chakras, in our lower energy system. And when we stay there, we can deal with some of the things, we can hold space and we can revisit and work through things, but if we stay there, nothing will really shift significantly, because those parts will always deal with something. And they will never go away 100% or anything. That's just quiet. So you want to shift up. You want to use, for example, energy-based meditation to really go in and then shift your energy up, go up, go up, go up, and reach up to a higher state, to a higher place of consciousness, to a higher frequency, to connect to your higher self, to connect to your soul, to connect to God, and to literally repolarize from where you live. If I wouldn't have had that this year, I don't think what I would have done. Seriously. If I would have had to experience this with the state of being that I had 20 years ago, I most likely would have done something, I don't know, whatever. Like, I wouldn't have been able to deal with it in this way. So the only way is up. So take a nice deep breath and just allow yourself to do this for even only 10 seconds in your own way. Take a breath. Don't overcomplicate it. If you don't even know what I'm talking about and think, what is she doing with it going up? Just look up for a moment. Just literally just look up. And stay there for a moment. And take a breath. But use the breath. Use the breath and look up for a moment. Maybe it's the ceiling, maybe it's the roof, maybe it's the clouds, maybe it's the sky, depending on where you are and what time it is. look up. And if you do it a few moments, you will feel a shift because it's lighter up there. Does that make sense? And if you joined later on here and you don't know the story that I shared about my personal biggest challenge this year, and you might want to go back and listen to it if you do care about me. And if not, this doesn't mean that you don't care about me, but if you know what's personally going on in my life right now, and why I'm gonna have surgery soon and why this is relevant, you might want to go back and watch it. Let me check your comments. If you have any questions or any comments, please leave them here. As I said, I'm not in a time rush today, and I'm gonna be here as long as it is meant to be. So, and if you have a question, please, like, this is my time I have with you. Only very few people get to work with me right now, and very few people. That will change at some point again, but very few people get to work with me. But every Monday I'm here live with you, and you have an opportunity to really get my feedback, to get my coaching. So if you have a question, please ask me. This is, I love helping you, I love supporting you. And I will do my best to be here throughout the process. I have no idea when I'm gonna have the surgery yet. But I'm sure I can go live Mondays. Okay, so let me see if there are any questions. Okay, Linda saying, I never have been able to meditate the way I need to. I'm determined to meditate to make my life better for me. Yeah, that's great, Linda. And I would rephrase something real quick. I never have been able to meditate the way I want or need to. And you're certainly able to, number one. So maybe you haven't found your way yet, but what I feel that might be helpful, and someone else that is listening to, take the pressure off and the idea of how it should look like. Or how it should look like, what you should experience, how it should be like. Take the pressure off. Let the idea go and tune it. What does make you feel good? What works? And it's okay if it's something simple, but every day, and listen to a guided meditation. I find that very helpful, especially if you do want to go into the in, up, down, out, that I have a lot of free resources as well. But I feel like just take the pressure off and rephrase that instead of focusing, I've never been able to do it, versus I am able and I'm gonna focus on the way that works for me. I hope this helps. Let me know, Linda. Tina is listening to my meditations every day. Tina, you are a rock star. You are one of the most amazing people I know. And I admire you too, by the way. I know you're going through a rough time right now. I'm with you. Linda, the other Linda, thank you for sharing your story again with us. We'll be thinking of you and sending you love and best wishes for a quick recovery. Thank you, Linda. I really appreciate it. I really, really appreciate it. Mandy, thank you for your good wishes. Appreciate it. If you do have a question, let me know before I jump off. This is a very challenging time to go through anything beyond the pandemic itself. Yes. You're not alone though. You have global support through your followers. Thank you. Yes, I really appreciate that. Yeah, and I know I'm not alone. Not at all, whatsoever. I do my best to go up, but I need to do that more frequently to be good to myself. Yes, and again, one thing, I'm so conscious about wording and mindful. You don't need to. You want to. You choose to. You get to. Because when we use the word need, I need to, it comes from kind of like a little bit of a pressure, a little bit of a guilt, a little bit of a judgment. So you don't need to, but you want to because it makes you feel better. You choose to because it's important to you, and I know it's important to you. You're so committed to your path, Linda. Just let it be playful, let it be light. Dolene is saying, yes, so many are going through a lot of stuff. Yes, it has been visible, absolutely, always helpful and encouraged. Thank you, Dolene. Thank you. Much love to you too. Appreciate that. Take the pressure off. Erin, so good to see you. Miss so much dancing with you. Oh my God, can't wait for the dance events to happening again. If you wish to answer, have you decided where you will have the surgery? Yeah, here in the Dominican Republic. I feel good about it now. Yes. There's so much more to say, but I kind of like, it's a long show already. I'm with you. I'm with you too. Oh, that makes so much sense. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. You're so welcome, Linda. You're so welcome. Changing the words. Yes, changing the words. You're welcome. Okay. So, I'm going to keep sharing this journey with you in the next couple of weeks, in the next couple of months. You will see. It's not going to be the topic of every show. I just wanted you to know that that's what's happening. I also wanted you to know that whatever is happening in your life, that you're not alone, and remind yourself, because if you do feel parts in us come up that I'm alone, that I'm not supported, first of all, think about the people that do care about you. Make even a list. You are loved by someone and you are supported by someone always, even if it's your soul, your spirit, divine, God. You are never alone. Sometimes we feel alone. Remind yourself of that. Reach out. Reach out and ask for help and support. Allow yourself to receive. Allow yourself to receive. Share. Don't keep it inside. Expand. Meditate. I have so many great free meditations. You can find them on Insight Timer. That's a free meditation app. You can find tons of material here on Facebook. I'm on YouTube. Or if you need anything else, shoot me an email. And use the rest of the year to maybe even tune in what was all the good that happened, because I truly believe life happens for us. Even in the worst moments, I believe it's for us if we choose to use it. I could say so much more, and I will in the coming weeks. But before you leave right now, I want you to tune in for a moment. Take a nice deep breath. Close your eyes even for a moment. Bring it back to you. Bring it back to you. And tune in, what was the most valuable thing for you got out of this show today? Like, what resonated with you? What's something that landed for you that was valuable to you? Your biggest takeaway. And then before you jump off, do me a favor, take a moment and leave a comment below. What's your takeaway from today's show that has value for you personally, for your own life and what's happening? And then also, do that first. Just take a moment. I'll give you a moment space to do that. Yeah, what's your biggest takeaway? What's valuable to you for yourself in your life? And leave a comment. And I know that some of you don't leave a comment and then send me an email, because some of you can't even watch this live. So yeah, just send me an email. It's important. Here's a takeaway. It's important to be able to receive. Oh, that's such a good one, Lynn. Okay, everybody, take that in. Take a breath. It's important to receive. Allow yourself to receive. Send the intention to open yourself up. Give yourself permission to receive. Beautiful takeaway. Yeah? And if you are commenting already, or if you know your takeaway, think of a person that might benefit from this today and you might want to share it. Okay? All right, I think this has been a long show. Here's more takeaways. I know it's always a bit of a delay. The reminder to change the words. Oh, Linda, this is such a good one. This is also a good reminder for me to keep reminding you guys. Conscious use of language. And another takeaway, through the darkness, there's always light if we look for it. Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful. Yes, please keep sharing your takeaways. If you're on the replay, leave a comment below, share your takeaway, and please come back next Monday. Next Monday, live, 12 p.m. Eastern Time, Soul Fuse Monday show. Appreciate you. Thank you for being part of my tribe. Thank you for your love and support. And I wish you a fantastic rest of the day, a beautiful week. Love yourself, honor yourself, take time for yourself, and please go up. Much love.